Hi. So just for a minute, I want to show you again the tracking carriage movement. It's very smooth. That's what you're going for. And it really is very easily accomplished. Now for just a moment, I'd like to discuss the connection from the tracks to the end frames. Here you'll see that I have a C-clamp connecting it on this side, but not on this side. And I wanted to show you this for illustration purposes. I have a little L bracket, steel L bracket, that's screwed to the track here, and then to the end frame here. Now, if you have room where you can leave your frame set up, this works really nice. It's small, it's out of the way, it's real convenient. If you don't, there's another option. Here I have an L bracket also. It's screwed to the track but not to the end frame. Then I just use a C-clamp to clamp the two together when I'm using it. The advantage of building this frame is that it is very, very portable. You can literally set the frame up and take it down in 10 minutes. So that makes it nice if you have a confined space and you don't want to have the frame set up all the time, or perhaps sometimes you want to have a set of tracks that are maybe 60 inches for smaller quilts, but at times you want to do a king size quilt, so you've got a 10-foot wide setup. You don't have to have either or any of it set up all the time. You can set it up, put it away as you desire. That makes it really nice. Now, I want to talk to you for a minute about the rolls that you'll be making to use with your frame. It's really neat. The rolls are really quite simple but very efficient. They're made from 1/2-inch diameter rigid steel pipe. They're very inexpensive. On the instructions that I send with the frame, I'll give you the specification for what to purchase. But at my local home center store, they only cost about $2 for a 10-foot length. So 4 rolls for a 10-foot wide setup are $8 to $10. Not bad. Now, the advantage is that since they are such low cost, a lot of quilters make different sets of rolls for different quilts. Same with the tracks. Maybe you want to make some smaller quilts. I like to have a 60-inch wide setup. Or maybe you want to do a king size now and then, so you have a 10-foot, 120-inch wide setup. Anything you want you can make very, very easily. Now, the rolls, you can have the extra sets, and you don't have to take the quilt off off the rolls to use them. I have a little end connector that simply slips over the end of the pipe, and it tightens with one screw. That's it. Now, let me show you. You'll see that I have here a leader strip. In this case, I really like to glue my leader strips to the roll. There's different types of rolls of glues that you can use. You can see I've left probably 4 or 5 inches. You want to leave enough to wrap. Now, if you don't want to glue it, that's fine. You can use a piece of duct tape and put it down there. Now I'm going to tell you a secret that will make your quilting projects go really, really neat and really easy. And let me move this roll and show you. Okay, so now you've got your roll. What you want to do is you want to set some marks on it. So you want to come away from the pipe, say a couple of inches, and make a mark. Make a few marks down. And then you want to scribe a line parallel with that roll. Let's see, parallel with the roll, the whole length of the leader strip. So now you've got your roll, you've got a line parallel with it, out a few inches, drawn. Okay, now, here's what you want to do. Once you have that line drawn, then you're going to come off the very end of the roll here, the very end, and of course you want to, with your end connector on, and you want to make some marks on that line that you've drawn. So make some inch marks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, from the end of the roll, and make them all the rolls exactly the same. Now, here's how that's going to help you. A lot of times, if you're setting up to machine quilt a large quilt, like a king or a queen, hey, it can be tough to get all of those layers all spread out on a surface. And if you're cramped for room, like many of us are, then here's what you do. You've got this line then on your roll. You line up your quilt top, your quilt batting, your quilt backing. You can line everything up to that line parallel with the roll, but then also you can come in from the end of your roll and you can set all of those layers just perfect on the mark on their roll. So then once you're ready to go, you can roll all those layers up, kind of smooth things out, and it's going to be just perfect. Things aren't going to be scattywampus on the roll. So that's a trick that you can use, and it'll really help you with setting up your quilt. Now, I want to take a few minutes, and I have a quilt that is mounted on the rolls. I want to take and mount that to the frames, and then I want to get the machine set on the carriage, and I want to show you different ways to operate it, and talk about some of the options there. So we'll do that next. Okay, now I want to show you a couple things. First though, in setting it up, here I have the machine on the carriage. Now, you don't want the machine too far back on the carriage or it'll tip backwards, or too far forward. So figure out about where your machine feels right on the platform and where it still moves nice and freely. Now, the finished roll that you'll be putting the fabric on really needs to go on first, and it needs to go on without the quilt. So in this case, you can see we have to feed it through the arm of the machine. We bring it down to the end frames, and we gently slip it in the slots. Now you can see that the finished roll, the furthest one back, is through the neck of the machine. So you can see the limits of the carriage travel back to front. Now, usually what we like to do is take the cords of the machine and run them through to the front underneath. Hang on just a second. Okay, so now one more thing I want to show you is that with the machine set on the carriage, I've run the cords to the foot pedal and the power cords kind of underneath the machine, and there's usually some feet on the machine, so I'll kind of tuck them under there to keep it in place. Okay, now in this case the cords go through and my foot pedal is in the front. I can move it along as I do my work and travel. Now, there's also another option, but it's more difficulty. If the cords go out the back and your foot pedal cord is off the back of the table and then it has to go underneath, you can run short on foot pedal cords. So that's why we put the cords through the front and the foot pedal there. Seems to work really well in the ones that we're doing, and we like that as a preferred method right off the front handle. Okay, now there's one other thing I want to slip in and talk to you about at the moment, and that is ergonomics. How you sit, how you operate the machine. One of the joys of the setup is one that you're working right close to your quilting. You're working in the front. You're not trying to do things from 3 feet away from the back of the quilt. As you can see, the height of this is, you can see where it is. When you've got your table, you've got your track, you've got your carriages, and you've got your machine, your work surface then, is like at this level. You may want to adjust your table height to be right for you ergonomically. You want the right chair if you're sitting, and you want the right height. Here's the deal. If it's too high, you can have your shoulders kind of uncomfortably pushed up. You might even want it slightly lower. So just pay a little bit of attention to ergonomics, to your table, not only to your table height, but to your finish height and what it is you're comfortable working with.